Gauntlet.
Punching their tickets to the Global Gauntlet Finals.
Qualified for the Global Gauntlet.
They are to the finals.
Global Gauntlet.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to Splat World Series REWOUND. I am Popcorn joined by Fufu, and we are going to be showing you a match you didn't see on stream for Global Gauntlet number 1. PxG taping on Utopia.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty exciting if you ask me. We're rewinding the tape. We're bringing it all back to you guys back at home. And PxG is going to be the first team that we look at with the roster of Gray, Goss, Noah, and Soldier. Again, I'm already scared. I'm seeing blasters on the board. The pencil, the E-leaders. We've been seeing so many E-leaders, Popgun, if you ask me. And of course, the gals and buckets. We have a pretty nice array of weapons here and pretty standard for the West.
PxG being the undisputed best team in the West right now, a split of Europe and a split of North America coming together to form the best team that can be made this side of the Pacific Ocean. They're going to be going up against Utopia, which is no stranger to the Splat World Series. They played last season, this time coming back with a strong roster as strong as ever, and XP powers as ridiculous as ever as well, although not into the 4K category you see with some of the other teams, which is why you see Utopia as a team a lot of the Western teams target to say, hey, maybe this is the one that we can knock off.
Yeah, again, the closer you can get, the better. But all of these players are incredibly talented. I guess Rubyton on that pencil, on that leader. I remember previously we saw a lot of their leader, and it's chef's kiss. Of course, the meaty for support, the slosher for that midline pressure, Art, who's going to be up in the front lines trying to make whatever they can work.
This is going to be a best-of-5 match, of course, with the lovely Reich band system. PxG is going to eliminate 2 right off the bat, followed by Utopia, who is going to get rid of 2 more that are remaining. And then we're going to let the whatever deity you believe in decide game 1, as you see Urchin Manta Maria being eliminated right away, making sure that that Noah's going to have plenty of room to work with now that Urchin is off the board. Museum and Marlin Airport. Who doesn't want to go to the airport? Why is that they didn't strike the way? And now the punishment for getting rid of the airport, we're going to Mincemeat Metalworks.
Oh my goodness,
I
no.
hope this is what you wanted.
No, it's so funny because Utopia was getting rid of like the more open maps only for them to get cursed and put on Mincemeat Metalworks. That is so unfortunate for the players of Utopia, but I think they'll be fine. They have a leader on their team. Both teams have leaders. Pretty standard comp, bringing the blasters, bringing the sloshers. Again, I'm very excited to see the Mini make its way to the field. I have a very soft spot for Mini, and that I think has a sauce for it.
Mincemeat Zones is the stage you see in rotation in solo queue. Play it once, go up against an E-leader on the other team, and decide that you're going to play a different game for the next 2 hours. As Noah is going to demonstrate exactly why. Respawn Punisher instantly pushing up. Controls so much space with the range on this one. Able to poke the player away from mid, and now PxG is going to be in a good position, even though they don't have zone, to start pushing up.
Yeah, and Rubyton here makes me really nervous there on the pencil because they are heavily outranged by Noah, who has been holding the fort 2 down on Utopia, so they're already finding themselves in not so great of a situation, especially as another player goes down for them. And look how far Gray and Sojo were moving up here, just trying to make sure that no one's going to drop down and no one's going to have the opportunity to make things work. But I think taking care of all of these ledges is going to be extremely beneficial. But as all of the players of Utopia are moving to our left side of the screen, PxG is going to do everything they can to catch them and hopefully take them out to extend this push even further.
Moving over to that right side immediately after capturing the zone, overcommitting so many players over there allowed everybody on Utopia to be funneled into that left side area. You leave Jordan back there just to make sure nobody drops down. But it's going to be about how do you cover the flanks, the ways that people can drop out of the zone. Yeah, the E-leader is going to cover a lot of space, but there's still some areas you can dip out of your spawn. That's going to be what Utopia has to keep battling through here as they're trying to reclaim the lead.
Yeah, and building around the leader is such an interesting thing because it's as you said, they cover out so much ground that the rest of their teammates have to cover what's around. But players starting to go down heavily on each side. That was pretty much 3 down on Utopia, and here Soldier's just trying to use those strikes to keep things in play for the rest of their team. Gray out here taking Art out of the field. A quick punish for the poor decaf and looking for a natural one. But that is 3! Ruby adding on to the people sent back to spawn. Gray has been eating people up with that blaster.
Gray's just been a different player since switching over to blasters in general. Finally get taken down, though, as Uptart starts working around this left side with the decav and everybody else collapsing on top of the zone. The problem with Utopia, though, they have to keep burning specials and things just to get back to control of mid, so they're not really able to create a lockout. And once again, how are they going to start pushing back Noah, who has so much control here?
Yeah, again, it all goes back to how PxG is built. And despite them getting a little bit of dent in their defenses, they're still going to be holding strong because, again, you have those ledges covered, you have the open covered, and as long as the players in PxG don't go down, they can take out players left and right from Utopia. I mean, they haven't stood a major chance at all since the start of the game. PxG has just had a really good hold from of all the areas they've been covering.
And now it looks like a potential knockout situation. There goes the mini on the right side by Jordan as Noah keeps the pressure alive, shoots through the strikes. 3 players going down. It's the sword versus the world, and the world has something to say about it. And now Gray's looking just for one more splat to add to the stat total. PxG flexes in game 1.
Again, they went to a map that Utopia most likely did not want to see throughout this game, and it shows why they didn't want to play those open maps right now. PxG, just phenomenal job. Had a massive hold over the entire game. I felt like most of the field was always dyed in some sort of orange. And again, it goes back. The ledges were covered. The open was covered. They had everything in their arsenal.
And we take a look at the stats being put on display here. A lot of paint coming out from Utopia, just not a lot of splats to go on top of it. Everybody resulting in the negative there. And we saw Gray popping off a lot, but only going positive 2 points above the in the KDA ratio. So it's really just the timely splats that Gray was able to get. And again, Noah only getting eliminated once off of the stage is really the key here to the frustration that Utopia had to deal with. But that is a butt whooping and a half being pulled out in game 1 by PxG. Hey, if you didn't want to go to Mincemeat, there was something you could have done about it. But no, we had to get rid of poor old Marlin Airport, taking strays for no reason.
Marlin Airport is pretty bad if you ask me. I mean, once you get, like, the mid is weird. To get up is weird. I don't know where that favor comes in. Popcorn, I'm going to side eye you just a little bit, but PxG's strike stages are up next. It's a matter of what are they going to put off the board. Off the board, I think is better here. Umami being the first one, I am a little bit sad about that. And Hammerhead Bridge, I do not blame them. But Utopia will be the next team to take that map pick.
And they are going to select the Mahi-Mahi Resort, where E-Leader... Well, okay, look. You talk about E-Leader in general, there's a lot of stages where it's really good at. But this is also a stage where if you don't want to use E-Leader and you just want to stick to pencil, you're going to get away with doing just fine in a scenario like this. The key, though, is going to be limiting Gray. You don't want Gray to pop off in key moments like we saw last time, get cluster splats and rack up the KAs in just chunks that completely creates lockouts and causes situations where Utopia can't get back into the action. Game 2 here, PxG up 1-0. We see the E-Leader return, and Ruby Tan responds in kind with an E-Leader of their own, both rocking the RP.
Yeah, and I want to take a look at Inate real quick because they're bringing the hammer mini back out. So let's them be a little bit more aggressive with that burst bomb. And that hammer, I think, is going to be crucial for keeping that upward aggression. But already huge opening there from Utopia, making waves here at the start of the match. Not even 15 seconds left. That was half down on PxG. I do see Noah still alive, who's still threatening to take some picks here. Definitely looking towards Rubython, hopefully get a pick. But the rest of their team is down. They can only do so much alone. And Noah getting taken out by the very hammer I referenced not too long ago.
The different opening between the two E-Leaders. We saw Rubytan go straight to the mid And rightfully so, because everybody in Utopia had captured mid. You have that space, why not take it? But PxG's Noah opting to go with the flank at the very beginning, try to get a sneaky splat along that left side with all the range they had there. Didn't work out due to the hammer, and now you start seeing Utopia trying to flex. They get a wipeout here, it's over.
No, yeah, for sure. The wipeouts are so devastating on this map, but it seems the rest of the players of PxG, especially Gray here, just are forcing the players of Utopia back. I think that was a jump out from the, who was that? That was someone that did have to jump out, forced all the way back, but PxG is doing a great job at just getting that offensive positioning going. And again, I would not want to be fighting an E-leader on defense. This goes for both sides. You just don't, not me, not on Mahi. I'm good.
And they get the zone with the stage lowered, the water level back to normal with a lot of room to work with, no penalty points on top of it either. And this is where Gray is starting to heat up, getting one more splat, a little bit delayed, but a nice double there opens up the door possibly for a lead change here. It's going to be close. Utopia is going to hang on to it, and they do have another hammer to work with to try to extend this lead.
Yeah, no, Utopia is doing a great job of getting out of these defenses now. It's just a matter of getting the hold, and I see that opportunity has arisen. That was 3 down on PxG, and that last player still just going to be sent back to the respawn point as well. I love where Art is positioned right now. That is a massive hitbox just waiting to strike someone, but they are going to get called out by the locate, and they're going to be forced back with the rest of their teammates. Gray is going to be the first player down on PxG, which if you are that first initiator, you do not want. It's like, Gray, get back here. We need you for a second because the lead has been swapped.
Oh, Noah's opting to stay up there with 2 players down, trying to find a cheeky splat. It able works out into a trade. That might have been the difference here, as while PxG was able to find a way to extend this game a little bit further. Sometimes you see players start to back up, especially when they realize there's a significant squid advantage on the opposite side. Noah stays in there with the trenches, opting to take the fights and keep things rolling for their team.
Absolutely. I have to respect Noah for that confidence because they're like, if I'm going to hit a shot, I'm going to hit a shot. But it seems that the opposing E-leader is in the same brain moment right there. But Art is going to be trying to move forward. I do see that bubble being placed. They'll give a little bit of cover here as they are opting to choose the enemy snipe to perch on. But nothing too crazy just yet. Those last 10 ticks are up for Utopia. So this could very well spell the end of the game. But Soja throwing those last Hail Mary strikes, hopefully enough to change the zone. And it is going to flip it to orange. PxG keeps itself in the game a little bit longer, but just barely floating with their heads above the water pop gun.
And all you have to do is keep the game going long enough. Eventually, Gray's going to get that triple that's going to blow the doors wide open, or Jordan is going to find ways to get those strikes in key positions to disperse everybody from Utopia. That's why you got to get that knockout right there if you're Utopia. You let PxG hang around. They got so many players that can hit a home run, and you give them more opportunities to do just that.
Yeah, poor Natha here, unfortunately not really able to do much with that hammer. The 2 players they were targeting were swiftly taken out by the rest of their teammates, but they're here to take Gray out on their own with the help of Art. And Noah here on the left just taking a little bit of a fight of their own too, which as a leader, of course you want to get out of there. But Utopia once again teetering on the edge of a potential knockout. They do lose half their players. That PxG's opportunity arises again, but I feel like, again, PxG is barely floating. They're barely able to keep themselves in the game, and those 3 points left for Utopia, they have all the control they want. If they want to stall this, they can, but PxG just needs to find a good, stable hold, and they can win within these next 30 seconds.
The difficult thing about creating a lockout on this stage is how close the spawn is to the zone. You really just got to drop down to your plat and you're ready to start attacking. But the mini getting eliminated right away. That's a lot of turfing power that's already gone. Goss in a 1v1 along the left side, trying to get one more splat away from the zone as we head down into overtime. Oh, not being able to get the splat on top of the tri-slosher might be massive, and still PxG is finding ways to battle right through. They take the lead in overtime. They're up 2-0.
That was genuinely like 2 frames off from being Utopia's neutral. That is a tie game, if you ask me. PxG just barely able to win this game just by a hair. I feel like they were sinking the entire time. Like, by the time we hit that second half of the game, Utopia had such control over the game, but PxG just barely was able to see that through. That is impressive. Oh my goodness, the Gauss paint.
That's, yeah, That's quite a bit. 14 assists on top of that as well, as Goss doing enough to dominate control of the zone and everything else on top of it there, despite not getting a ton of splats. As far as the KDA is concerned for Gray, a lot of deaths going on top of that. Again, it comes down to timely. When are you racking up those splats? When is everything falling into your favor? And at the very end right there, PxG had so many opportunities. Utopia, you think they're going to knock them out here, knock them out there. They never did. And they just keep leaving the door wide open for somebody to come in and make a big play. And this time we saw it happen yet again as PxG up 2-0 on Utopia. A bit of a, I think it's fair to say, a bit of a shocker. Not so much that PxG is winning, that more so in the fashion that they're able to do so, dominating game one and hanging around long enough to knock down the door in game two. Hagglefish and Wahoo are gone.
I am so surprised by Hagglefish Market being left out of this, because it's one of like the maps I would argue to play on. Macamart is still there, but it's going to be Crablet Capital that actually makes its way for the potentially game-winning game here for PxG. I like Crablet Capital, and so do the leaders, as a matter of fact. Everyone else, they may not like it. They're going to be suffering as we speak, because those grades are a splat zone, and everywhere else, as long as there's a leader in sights, there's a non-zero chance you just get taken out right on the spot.
And when you're going up against the Blaster, who can pick you off as you try to stay alive on the grates, this is probably a stage I'm assuming PxG isn't too upset about going to. I feel like their comp kind of works here naturally. And obviously the Mini's going to do a lot of attacking power, and they're going to have to find ways to get those ultra stamps in key spots if Utopia wants to extend this match a bit. Noah said, you know, that worked in game two. I'm not going to let you do that again. I'm just going to leave and stay alive and get ready for another counter push.
Yeah, well, lucky for Noah, Goss was there to pick things up. And oh my goodness, speak about the cleanup crew. Oh my God, Goss. They are with an ends up in hand. They said, I may be a support. However, they're just going to casually take 3 players down. Noah is back on the field to help pick up what they started right here. Cooler does go out for the entirety of PxG, hopefully helping them out with this offensive position they're in right now. Utopia just waiting for those specialists to come online. They now have a Cooler of their own, just waiting to find an opportunity to get themselves into zone. That bubble might just be the key, but Soja getting rid with the strikes and taking out themselves, but the zone has not flipped at all. Utopia has not seen a proper opportunity as PxG hangs tight to the space in mid.
Goss has just gone Ultra Instinct right now. They're all over the entire stage. They're just swarming to any player from Utopia like an angry hornet and just stinging across all over the place right now. Soldier is able to jump right back into the action as this is looking very dire for Utopia. This is going to be it, a 3-0 sweep. PxG with a statement.
Oh my goodness, and talk about a drip pick nearly at the end there. 3 players just in front of our screen. PxG extraordinarily dominant during this game 3. They didn't even give Utopia the chance. They staggered them all the way back, and oh my goodness, what a dominant set from PxG. They started dominant, they ended dominant. We don't talk about the middle, but just very smooth sailing.
Noah only 1 splat with 3 assists, but never getting splatted. Goss only got splatted once as well. That is the key. When your anchor player and your support player are doing this much damage and you can't remove them from the board, that opens up the door for everything else to work out perfectly for PxG. What a dominant performance across all 3 games. And doing this so much to keep Utopia in check. Look at the low KAs coming out from Utopia, as well as they're able to find a situation to get established, get a foothold. It's not often we see teams from Japan get sped up like this from teams from the West, but this is PxG playing in the peak form, I believe, at the end of the tournament as well, when we're typically waiting for, okay, when is the sleep tax going to click in? When are they going to start running out of energy? It didn't really happen for them right there in round 5.
Listen, sometimes teams get stronger by the very end of the night, and frankly, we saw it happen. Like, there was a couple teams that genuinely powered up as the night went on. It was incredibly funny, but oh my goodness, just really well played from PxG. I absolutely love their energy. I got to give a special shout out to Noah, because Noah was running with that E-leader. They said, I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to be a menace to society, despite having to jump out a couple times. I just respect the courage on a leader. I, as an anchor myself, we love to see it.
So that's going to do it for this match of the Splat World Series Rewound. Make sure you stick around for this channel, as sets are going to be coming out constantly as these ones get re-recorded. With that being said, PxG versus Utopia, 3-0 for PxG. I Pop Gun with Fufu. We'll catch you later.